I ruined my family's life and I don't regret it. All names are changed. This all happened 10 years ago when I was 19. Around the holidays, I found out my then boyfriend Kevin was cheating on me with my older sister Jen. I was beyond devastated because Jen and I were really close and she was my role model. Not only that, but Kevin was honestly my first big love, so it was really crushing. Everything was made so much worse when my parents sided with Jen. She had always been a bit of the golden child, but my parents had never shown their favoritism to this extent. They kept telling me that these things happen, but family always forgives, and crap like that. It made me cry a lot, and I kept telling them that I couldn't forgive them. My dad told me to stop being so dramatic. My mom said I was a disappointment because she raised me better. Jen just said she was sorry, but she and Kevin really loved each other and they never meant to hurt me. I honestly just felt so alone and depressed and worthless. I was like a zombie for months. I mostly just slept and refused to talk to my sister. My parents kept telling me to move on because even if it hurt, Jen was still my sister and she was more important than some guy. Eventually, it was too much and I decided to end myself. I was so convinced that Kevin was the love of my life and I just couldn't get over how he betrayed me and how my family made me feel so alone and crazy. I wrote a very angry and depressing final note that talked about everything that had happened and scheduled it to be published on my Tumblr after I died. Fortunately, my roommate/best friend Alice found me after I overdosed on pills. I was unconscious for a while before I woke up. Then I was put into hold because I was still very obviously self-ending and was considered a danger to myself. I was in there for a while and only had contact with my grandparents since they were the only ones I wanted to talk to at a time. When I finally got to go home, it was my grandparents who picked me up and took me to their house. They are the reason why I'm still here right now, and I love them more than anything in the world. They put me in therapy, got my medication, and were with me the whole time. I never asked about my family and they never told me anything either. At the time, I just assumed they were mad at me for being dramatic. Then I got the real story from Alice a month later. Her then girlfriend had been angry on my behalf and shared my Tumblr post on our Facebook. She even tagged my parents, Jen, and Kevin and called them out. Her then girlfriend was also one of those people who had over 1,000 friends, so the post got shared, and my family and Kevin were attacked by family, friends, and strangers. It was a crap show. A lot of people called Jenny whore, and my parents heartless monsters. My mom was ostracized by her church. My dad's friends stopped talking to him. A lot of Jen's friends were disgusted by her behavior and ditched her. Kevin got backlash too, because he lied to his super religious family that we had broken up amicably and said God guided him to Jen. My grandparents told my mom, their daughter, that she was dead to them for how much she and my family hurt me. They were the ones that forced my parents and Jen to back off and leave me alone, and to never contact me until I reached out to them. But I never did, because they were dead to me too. Jen and Kevin ended up breaking up after his parents sent him away to find Jesus again. I have no idea what became of him. Jen had to move to get away from everyone calling her a whore. I haven't spoken or even seen her in 10 years. Last I heard, she's got 3 kids from 2 different men and she's not with either of them. My parents became social outcasts and are now just homebodies. We rarely talk and it's all superficial. They missed my birthdays, my graduation, my engagement, and even my wedding. They won't be part of my child's life either. I know it hurts them. I tell people around me that I don't care about them or their feelings, which is true to an extent. But in reality, I'm glad. I'm glad they're hurting and suffering. I'm glad their lives suck and they're all unhappy. I shouldn't be, and I haven't told anyone, not even my therapist, how I actually feel about my family now. I know this is probably just my resentment and it's probably not healthy, but I can't help it. I almost ended myself over what they did, so it feels almost like karmic justice to see them hurting now. I even kind of hope they feel like how I've felt, alone and like no one cares about them. I'll tell my therapist one day, but I just wanted to say to the void for now. Now for the top comments. If destroying them gave you your sanity back, congratulations. Your grandparents sound great and loving. Spend as much time as you can with them. I'm glad you're enjoying life now. My grandparents are the best. I spend time with them as often as I can, and they've been a part of all my big milestones. You didn't ruin your family's life. They did that all on their own. I'm glad you have your grandparents in your corner. Your parents and sister, I can't even imagine how that must have felt. I'm glad you're at a better place in your life now, Opie. I wish you and your family the best. My grandparents have always been on my side. I'm lucky to have them. Sometimes, in regards to my immediate family, I want to ask if it was worth it. But thank you. I'm happier now than I've ever been. Your parents just didn't think you had a power to hurt their little perfect lives and went for the least resistance path. Let your ex be with your sister, otherwise, what would have other people thought? Well, you messed all of them up and showed them that you have the power to create your own path, and they had to put up with all their lies and crappy behavior. The best revenge is living a great life. Virtual hugs. Next story. My sister being abused by my ex-fiancé, but I don't care, and I won't be helping her. 5 years ago, my older sister Jess slept with my ex-fiancé John. It was one of those I've loved him for years situations for Jess, or so she claimed back then, so she took her shot to get with him, even as the mistress he hides away. And John? Well, he was mad back then because I didn't fight for our relationship. Suffice to say that when I found out they were screwing around, I mentally thought, wow, these people are pathetic. I had no intentions of fighting, arguing, begging, and never even cried now that I think about it. Even back then, I was a one-and-done kind of person. I cut my mother off for cheating on my dad. I cut off friends who cheated on their partners even when we were stupid kids. Cheating isn't a mistake. It takes me off thinking about it. Just crying and telling me, you have to understand, like I hadn't caught her screwing my fiancé in my bed in my condo. Or John yelling at me is saying, if you ever loved me, you'd fight for me, or cry for me, or do something. And then the most hilarious line of, maybe if you put out more, I wouldn't have strayed. And seriously, I was always the one initiating even before our engagement. And I had stopped bothering because he claimed his libido was lower than mine. I know for a fact that I'm a good lay, he just never wanted to put any effort in. And even if I hadn't been trying to have sex regularly, that is not an excuse to cheat. I tossed them out, packed up my crap, canceled everything but the honeymoon, and got refunds. I sent John's family their 25% contribution and security footage of John screwing my sister in the living room. It went back to the day he moved in, and the idiot probably forgot I had security cameras inside. And that was beyond petty, but despite how much his family loved me, I also knew that his doting father and grandmother would never believe John was capable of cheating on me without some kind of proof. I didn't need them harassing my family like they did others for lying about their family. I had also evicted John and then had an agent sell my condo while I turned my would-be honeymoon into a solo thank duck I'm free trip. And when I came back, I moved. Again, one and done kind of girl. Cheaters, liars, betrayers, and perverse jerks do not deserve forgiveness nor second chances. I learned that with my parents' situation. You give a second chance, they'll do it over and over again. Then scream, you said you forgave me, and I can't help it, it meant nothing, while victimizing themselves. It took my dad years to stop forgiving my mother, but I will never make that mistake. In 5 years, Jess and John got married because she was pregnant, moved into her apartment together, and now have 3 children, 4 male, 3 male, and newborn girl. They have no friends, no familial support beyond my mother. My dad is apparently involved with his grands but does not help financially, nor does he babysit or even let John into his house. I was visiting my dad when Jess showed up at his house in the middle of the night. She had her children with her, had a black eye, marks on her neck, and bruises on her arm. I was worried as my dad brought them all in. That worry disappeared the moment she said John got angry at her because I'm not Opie. She was blubbering about all the things John expected of her and how he essentially wanted her to be me, Little Miss Perfect, even though I'm the one that didn't want him. Dad tried to stop her multiple times, but I told her to keep going. Her tirade was how it should have been me he hated and hit, not her. That John lost his family because of me. They only have our mother as help because of me. That I didn't love him enough to fight or be with him no matter the circumstance like she did. That everything falling apart was on me, not her. And that she was sick of how I ran away and yet still managed to ruin her relationship with John. Even her wedding was all about how OP would have wanted this, and intimacy always ends with, sex with OP was better, you need to try harder. And apparently in Jess's eyes, John beating her for the first time was entirely on me. Wanna know why? Because her children look like our mother instead of me, who looks like my father. That even her children are treated like afterthoughts by John because he had hoped they'd get good genes. They only had another child because he wanted one to look like me, and that one doesn't either. And then, she said that maybe if I talked to John, things would get better for her. After all that, Dad pretty much told her that her kids will be staying with him, but she was on her own. Go to the police or your mother. Then she turns to me, begging me to convince him otherwise. Like, is she serious? You're in a situation of your own making. You're older than me, decided to screw a taken man, and then married him even after you claimed all he wanted was the woman that abandoned him. You're the one that was cut off from any viable support system by being an awful person. No one deserves to be mistreated, and I don't view it as karma, but Jess stopped being my sister the first time she slept with John. Someone that loves you would never show such blatant hate for you. That goes for both of them. Isn't it funny how once they get the dude, get married and have kids, it all falls apart? A relationship that starts as an affair is never truly healthy. They might stay together, but it is rarely a soulmate situation. By the way, if John was so into you, why didn't he fight for the relationship? By standards, at least back then, begging and arguing is how you fight for a relationship. He spent about 3 months doing and saying whatever to anyone dumb enough to listen, trying to get messages to me. And honestly, he got a lot of people cut off by me in the process. So beyond that, best way to keep a relationship is to not screw your partner over or just break up with them. At least you can be cordial afterwards. I'd say that she wanted him and she got him. Congratulations. What a prize. Nope, it's not your mess to clean up. Exactly. She made her bed. Now she has to lie in it. Not your responsibility. Last story. I told on my mom's married boyfriend and ruined my life. My mother started having an affair with a married man, Bruce, over 10 years ago. My dad left her over it, but she stayed with Bruce with a promise of him divorcing his wife soon. Spoiler alert, it didn't happen. After 10 plus years of knowing my mother was the other woman, and after stalking Bruce's wife's socials, I couldn't take it anymore. He's a creepy man that no one in my family can stand, including my 3 other siblings. We've been tasked all these years to keep her dirty secret and treat Bruce as if he's not an adulterer. I took one for the team and sent some anonymous emails out to some contacts I've found through social media. Bruce's wife responded to me and asked to speak, as she had no idea any of this was going on, which I highly suspected despite Bruce's lies all these years, so I sat down and phoned her. We talked for almost 3 hours. She's a nice woman who was nothing but kind to me. She's been married to Bruce for 30 years and had no idea he had a double life. His job allows him to travel frequently. I answered all her questions. During this convo though, I knew my relationship with my mother was over. I knew the details would get back to her and would pinpoint to me. Bruce's wife thanked me over and over and shared she would be divorcing Bruce once she got her finances in order. It was a very emotional conversation, and I'll never forget the sound of her cries as I told her all the details. The next day, I was completely cut off from my mother. I had no way of contacting her, and shortly after that, the harassment of members of my family came flooding in. Messages of disgust towards me and support towards my mother. Everyone turned on me and will no longer speak to me. I can't imagine she's telling them the truth of what I did. I told on her married boyfriend. I'm shocked my family has chosen her side and abandoned me. Sometimes regret washes over me, but in the end, all I did was speed up the inevitable. And I did it for my siblings who couldn't stand his presence anymore. I thought I would get rid of him, but it backfired. Not only are Bruce and my mother getting married, my siblings chose her side and have cut me off. This weighs heavy on my chest. It did for the last 10 years, and now because of what I did, it will continue. Thanks for reading and letting me get it out. Now for the comments. You did the right thing. Although you maybe should have anticipated this would speed up the process on Bruce and his wife getting a divorce. Your mother got what she wanted in the end, so she should be thanking you. For the best, though, she broke up your family by her selfish actions and chose a crappy man over her kids. You probably would have ended up going no contact with her anyways. True. Not sure why mom's so upset about this all being exposed. Like, girly, you've been with a married man for 10 plus years. Clearly you aren't that ashamed. Wait, why is she mad? If you didn't tell, the adulterer would still be married, and would it be marrying your mom? Shouldn't she be thanking you? Unless he never intended to marry your mom and even she knows this. Lol. I'm willing to bet mom is mad because Bruce stands to lose a lot of assets and will possibly have to pay alimony. Hard to say for sure, since we don't know the details of Bruce's marriage. But money's the only thing I can imagine being the reason he didn't leave his wife earlier, and why mom would be so mad. I'm no legal expert, but this is my best guess. Bingo. That's exactly it. Plus, most places, if you're married for longer than 10 years, it would guarantee the wife lifetime alimony as long as she doesn't remarry. Plus, the fact that if she's smart and hires a forensic accountant, any money spent on your mom and family in the last decade is considered marital property and she's entitled to half of it. So if he bought your mom a house, cars, whatever, they will be forced to sell. And or he'll have to pony up that amount during the divorce proceedings. Plus, if they have children together still at home, that's also child support. Dude basically stands to lose everything, and no doubt I wouldn't be surprised if the change in lifestyle causes your mom to look for another suitor. Did it really ruin your life though? I mean, if members of your family are harassing you and supporting your mother because you told your mom's boyfriend's wife that he's been cheating on her for the last 10 years with your mom, then I think that there are trash people who aren't worth your time. You aren't wrong. It's just hard to have everyone hate me so abruptly. Edit. Thank you to all the supportive comments. I have a few people in my corner rooting for me, but these comments have been comforting and therapeutic. The number of family that turned on me, I truly started to worry I was the problem and made a mistake. To answer some questions, money is a huge factor in all of this, which is why my mother/siblings are so angry and not thanking me. I am my mother's oldest daughter. Only my youngest siblings lives with her. We are all adults. I have 2 young children my mother has thrown to the curb for Bruce. They will never know who she is. I am in contact with a wife. She is a lovely woman who is aware of how this unfolded and has been so kind to me. I like to think in another life we would be friends. I've spent a lot of time putting together proof for her so she can get what she deserves out of the divorce. Keeping in touch with the wife angered Bruce and my mother, so much so they told my family I was harassing the wife. That fueled the fire more for my family to hate me. To the few that have commented I should have minded my own business, I wish this never was my business. What a laugh.
Am I the a-hole for leaving my sister stranded at a restaurant after she brought my dad? I, 30 male, have a complicated history with my dad. I'll call him Jake, and haven't seen him in over 11 years. When I was 13, the biggest family secret came out that ended my parents' marriage and my relationship with him. All thanks to my mom who cheated, got pregnant, and passed me off as his. We all found out, and like a switch went off, Jake wanted nothing to do with me like at all. They got divorced. My older sister was his, so he only fought for custody of her. He was horrible to me when this first came out. Like as if it was my fault. And for a long time, I did think that. In fact, it took years of therapy to stop feeling like it was all my fault. For a long time after it came out, I did everything to be in Jake's life like he was in my sister's. I never held back telling me looking at me makes him sick, and it was never my dad. Telling this to a 14-year-old. My last attempt was when I was around 18. By then, Jake had gotten remarried. His new wife was pregnant, and I convinced my sister to bring me to the baby shower hoping to talk to him. Big mistake. He flipped on me outside, and it was the most humiliating and hurtful moment of my life. Jake told me to go find my real dad and stop bothering him. That was it for me, and we didn't speak again. Now I get it. He was cheated on, he was hurt, and I'm a reminder of the biggest betrayal of his life. The affair kid. But I was also human with feelings. Took time, but I forgot about him with lots of therapy. Still close with my sister, but she keeps her relationship with him separate from ours. Except for now. He got sick from COVID last year, and I guess that was his come to Jesus moment. Now he's suddenly interested. But for me, the damage is done, and I've turned that chapter in my life. Have my wife and family. A father-in-law who's loved me and treated me like his own for years. So I've denied seeing him. But because now he wants to, my sister keeps trying to set it up. Earlier this week, she tried to surprise me with him at the restaurant where we were having lunch. I got up and left without saying anything to him. I was caught off guard, so the only thing going on in my mind is I gotta get out. My sister came with me, so that means I was her ride and just left her there. And my sister's really mad about me leaving. His wife dropped him off, and it was gonna be a while for her to come back since she had appointments. But the point is, they ended up being there way longer than expected. On top of that, she got to work late since the plan was for me to drive her back after eating. Not sure if she's actually mad that I left her, or that I didn't stay to eat with Jake. But yeah, she does think I was an a-hole for taking off like that. Not totally sure if I was, since I've made it clear we are done, but at the same time I did leave her without a ride. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. What your sister did was wrong. She should not have sprung him on you after all the trauma he had caused. If she had told you he was coming and you had agreed, then you would have been the a-hole. But you didn't know he was going to be there. That wasn't the plan, and she did not ask if you were comfortable with it. She honestly should have expected you were going to be overwhelmed. I'm sorry you went through that, and I'm glad to hear you have a loving family. She knows I wouldn't have gone at all, so that's why she didn't tell me. It was painful as hell, believe me. I'm just grateful to have found a wonderful family with my wife. Not the a-hole. Your sister is the a-hole here. She's the one you had a present-day ongoing relationship with, and she betrayed your trust. Don't let her talk you into thinking you owed her a ride after the stunt she pulled. As they say, play stupid games, etc., etc. You didn't leave them stranded on the side of the road during a thunderstorm. You left them in a nice restaurant after you were ambushed. They had plenty of time to have a nice meal while waiting for an Uber or something. OP, you panicked and left. You had to have years of therapy to get to a more comfortable place, and good for you for doing the work and marrying well. Your dad may have had a come-to-Jesus moment, but you, OP, you don't have to care. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Proverbial stupid game / prizes moment for your sister. You may want to rethink your relationship with your sister, since she appears to have picked up a lot more of her father's personality and attitudes than you may have previously known. Her reaction was to deflect and blame you for the situation, rather than apologize. A rather telling reflex. You didn't leave her stranded. She tried to manipulate you for her father's sake, not yours. She was late for work because she assumed that you would be easily manipulated into staying, that you were as desperate as you were when you were a teen to have a relationship. Also, her real motive was probably even more selfish. She wanted to be the hero and peacemaker between you and her father, so she could tell everyone how she finally mended the relationship and take social media credit for attention. You owe her father nothing, including an opportunity to apologize or explain. You don't owe him anything. Walking away was not an a-hole move. It was the most polite and reasonable thing you could have done. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to give my homeless sister a place to stay? My sister's husband left her for someone else. The house they lived in was inherited by him years before she met him, and there was never any mortgage on it. In our jurisdiction, this means it isn't part of the marital property or the divorce process, so she isn't entitled to the house or any of the equity in the divorce. Her husband was able to get a court order to evict her from the homes, and she was lawfully evicted. She will get half of their savings account, but that will all go to her legal fees apparently. She isn't eligible for alimony. He isn't rich, and it's not a factor. I haven't had contact with my sister since 2016. She was the one who cut off contact. She got contact because my husband is a police officer. She doesn't like the police. She's never contacted or spoken to my husband even once. She hated that I was dating a police officer, and when he proposed, she said if I married him, she would never speak to me again. There was no other reason for her not to like him besides his job, but she is the type that posts quotes and statements on social media, but she never does any activism beyond that. That was the last time I saw or heard from her, until she recently showed up at my house asking to stay because her husband left her and had her evicted. Our parents can't take her in because they just moved into a retirement condo community. Only residents can live there, and you have to be over 50. They aren't struggling, but they can't afford to help her after their own rent/fees/bills. When she cut me off, my parents said I should be able to marry whoever I want. But at the same time, I should be sensitive to why my sister is upset and see her point of view. I have no other relatives besides my parents and sister, and I don't really visit my parents, and I talk to them on the phone about once a month. I am in an industry where I can't work from home, and where things are still closed because of the pandemic. I have been laid off from my job until things reopen. The business is not gone and the industry will be back, but I've been unemployed since last March. I have done some freelancing, but my husband is the breadwinner right now. My sister, who hates my husband even though she's never had contact with him, came to my house after her eviction wanting to stay with us. She said my husband makes enough that we can't afford to have her stay rent-free and support her, and have her eat our food, use our internet, etc. And that we owe it to her. I can't believe her nerve, and I told her no. And said if she comes back, I'll call the police on her for trespassing. She called me an a-hole and a terrible sibling, and she wouldn't stop calling or texting me until I blocked her. She is staying at a shelter or outside if there are no beds available now. Am I really being too hard on her? Am I the a-hole and a bad sibling for refusing to take her in when she is homeless? Not the a-hole. Absolutely do not give in to this. Evictions take time as do divorce settlements. She knew this was happening and made no plans, got no job, and clearly made bad decisions. I don't believe for 1 second she agreed to a settlement that was only enough to pay legal fees. She spent all her money, or doesn't want to, wasted months she could have been getting employment at her own place, with the intention to leech off of someone she clearly doesn't even like. Ignore her. Just to provide clarity, they are not divorced yet. Legally separated and the divorce will be finalized soon, but it has not happened yet. Her insistence that you owe her despite her continued refusal to apologize makes you not the a-hole. She can deal with the consequences of her own actions in alienating you. Right there. Ignoring that her sister declined to speak to Opie over the spouse being a cop that she has never in her life met, she's still the a-hole. As soon as she said that she was owed anything, it's entirely appropriate to tell her to screw herself while she waits for a bed. I help people when I can because I feel like it's the right thing to do. But when someone feels entitled to my aid without treating me with even the most basic of common courtesies, I'm not interested. Not the a-hole. She cut off contact and killed the relationship, not you. She can't now expect you to live off the guy she cut you out over. That's not how life works. She now knows why you don't burn bridges you may have to cross later. You don't owe her anything, Opie. Not the a-hole. You owe her nothing. Also, based on her behavior, if you let her stay, you might not be able to kick her out without getting your own court order to evict her. Next story. Am I the a-hole for providing statement to police after brother stole from me? Backstory. My brother, 30 male, has been struggling with addiction since he was 15 years old. He still lives at home with my father. Him and I, 33 male, have always had a shaky relationship. My other two brothers and my mom want nothing to do with him. I placed an order paid in full on April 20 at Home Depot. On April 23, I was arrested. I was released on June 21. I went to Home Depot on June 22 for my order, and they informed me that my order was released to my younger brother on May 27. She even called my brother right in front of me, and I heard him confirm that he did pick it up. Luckily, I had recorded a majority of the convo he just had with a rep, so there was no denying it. He says he already sold the product. I told him I wanted my money. He agreed and said on Friday he would pay me. Friday comes and he says he's not going to give it to me anymore. That it's not his fault that Home Depot gave it to him. I told him that he had until Monday to give me the money, and he didn't say anything else. On Wednesday, I filed a chargeback with my bank who said that they would not approve the chargeback unless a police report was filed, and I gave a statement. I told them I would think about it and get back to them. Later in the day, Home Depot calls me and says they want to avoid a chargeback, and they would refund me my money under the same circumstances the bank was asking. A few hours later, I got a call from a detective asking me for a statement, so I cooperated. The detective let me know that she first contacted my brother to give him the opportunity to just repay the money, but he refused to even give a statement. Now my dad is telling me that I am the a-hole for cooperating, that I know how it is to be in jail, and why would I want to send my little brother to such a place? I see it this way. I didn't ask him to steal my product. I just want my money back. And since he refused to give it to me, I simply did what I needed to do to protect my interests. Shortly after giving my statement, Home Depot notified me that my refund had been issued. Now for the comments. Not day haul for reporting to police, as it seems the only way to get your much-needed cash expediently, but I can't help but think there are about 1,000 things being left unsaid here. Yes, you're correct. There's a ton more to the story. I try to hit all of the most relevant stuff though. He's been to rehab 4 to 5 times, but has always checked himself out after a few weeks. He's never been forced to make a lifestyle change because my dad is the biggest enabler on earth and provides my brother with a home, food, and most importantly, a safe and comfortable place to get and be high. All for free, of course. Info. Why did Home Depot give your stuff to your brother? I feel like most places would have put your stuff back on the shelves and refunded you after 2 weeks. Also, they are only supposed to release the items to you or someone who you specifically designate as an alternate. Well, both my brother and I are sellers on Amazon. I can only speak for myself. I spend $20,000+ a month on various products from Home Depot that I resell, and I think my brother does somewhere around the same. We do not work together, nor do we sell any of the same products. However, anytime either one of us places a new order, 95% of the time the order is placed through the same Pro Extra Desk representative. I've been working with her for about 8 years now, and my brother maybe 4 years, and have built a great rapport with her. My brother took advantage of their relationship and her trust. He told her I had been arrested and said that I had called him asking him to help me out and pick up my product and fulfill my orders, which could not be further from the truth. It kind of was Home Depot's mistake, but I understand why they released the order to him. Not day haul. He committed a crime and should be punished for it. He's probably stolen hundreds of times before and thought that because you are family, you'd let him get away with it. Good on you for following through. Yes, thank you. He's literally stolen from me at least 10 times in the past 5 years. It even broke into my place last year. Took several and broke several other things. All because he gets high and paranoid. I've never done anything about it before because it's always been stuff worth no more than a couple $100. I'm sure he thought he could get away with it this time too, but I'm not willing to let several $1,000s go. I mean, he could have just asked for it, and I would have very willingly give it to him. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not wanting to take care of my boyfriend's brother? My boyfriend and I have been together for just over a year. 4 months into our relationship, he brought me to meet his mom and brother who is autistic. He told me in advance about his brother, but I assumed he would be like my ex who was a little social awkward but lived a normal life. I was shocked when I met him, as it seemed he was at a 10-year-old's mental development. He had a meltdown during dinner, and I could see how stressed his mom was at having to deal with us. We talked after we drove back, and he told me his mom was planning on sending him to a group home, as she is getting older and would soon be no longer able to take care of him. I thought nothing more about this. But last week, his mom had a health scare, and she asked him to take his brother. Both his parents are in poor health at this point, so likely this will be semi-permanent. He told me the plan had changed, and he would have to take his brother in. I'm not sure why, because everyone is getting shots and the numbers are down, but he explained there's currently an insane 2-year waiting list for an entry to a group home. He wants me to take care of his brother as he works 12 hours a day out of the house. I work from home permanently, but I know my work would be disrupted if his brother had a meltdown. So I moved back to my old place with my roommates, as I had just moved out for 3 months and they hadn't found a new roommate yet. My boyfriend is mad because now he has no way of working and taking care of his brother, and thinks I'm being sympathetic to his problems. But I don't want to take care of him, especially when it would affect my work. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to care for my boyfriend's brother? Not the a-hole. I'm sympathetic to the fact that your boyfriend needs to figure out how to take care of his brother in short notice. But deciding, without any discussion, that you are going to watch him 12 hours a day is ridiculous. If it was an hour here and there, I would go you're the a-hole because sometimes you just have to bite a bullet. But 60 to 80 hours a week? No, not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. If he wants to take in his brother, I admire him for it. However, it sounds like he was about to lay 100% of the responsibility on you. It is not your responsibility. You cannot work from home and take care of his brother too. It's not realistic, and most jobs wouldn't allow it. A lot of work-from-home jobs won't allow you to even have kids at home, and require proof of outside daycare to ensure there are no interruptions on the time they are paying you for. Your boyfriend needs to figure out how to take care of his brother on his own. Not Dayhal. It's annoying me that so many comments are she's not trying to do the job, when the absolute only correct response is, it's totally inappropriate and unacceptable for a man to expect his girlfriend to take over the care of a relative. We don't have to say because of her job or because she's not trained, but because the mere fact of it is insane. Edit. For the confused, he didn't ask. He told OP that he expected her to care for the brother. That's the deal breaker.